Hello, my intention is to give a demonstration of a file, a program that copies a file, copies a file. So I'm going to show you the file, well, I'm going to talk about the file that's being copied and the mechanism that Java uses to copy the file. And it does in fact use streams, so we're going back to work we did before Christmas on streams at some point. So I'm going to select a workspace called Hello. I'm just going to launch it. Which takes a few seconds. Well, it's quite an old version of Eclipse, but it's quite adequate to the demonstration I'm about to give you. So actual project is called copy. So the actual project's called Git. And the program looks like this. So the package is called Git, and I'm importing some system functions that I might need, probably will need. The class is called copy, and here's the main method. So as usual, it takes a vector of strings, of type string, and it's actually marked as throwing an exception, and that's a topic of further discussion. I mean, an IO exception, or an exception in general, something going wrong. And what might go wrong in this method is that we're going to try and open a file, but it might not exist. In which case, something going wrong has clearly occurred, and I'm going to be told of that something going wrong, the exception that's being thrown. Anyway, what I'm doing here is to use this file, Gutenberg.txt, as the file that I want to be copied. So all I've had to do is to place this string, the path string, in inverted commas, and I'm going to assign the variable source the object which results from creating a new file from this file path. And I do exactly the same thing. I can identify the destination, the file that I want it to be copied into, by writing variable desc is going to be assigned the object resulting from creating a new file, attaching the file to this particular object, this communication channel, if you like. So what I'm doing here, first of all, is to create a new file input stream, and I'm attaching that to the source. So the source is Gutenberg.txt, and I'm writing, I'm defining FOS, file output stream, to be a new object resulting from creating a new object from this class, file output stream. And I'm attaching that to destination. So destination is on the C drive in a subdirectory called Burk, and the file name, I want the Gutenberg.txt file to be copied into, called hotspot1.txt. So don't let any of that confuse you. Right. So first thing I'm going to do is to create an array called buffer, and it's a new object consisting of bytes, in fact 1024 bytes. So buffer is going to be an array of 1024 bytes, and I'm defining length here to be an integer variable, and all the work of copying is done by these two lines. And let me explain this. It's quite important. So I'm using FIS as method read. So FIS is a file input string. I'm going to use that to read into buffer as many bytes as can be read. And as long as the number of bytes being read into a buffer using the input stream method read is greater than 0, then go ahead and write the data on the file output stream. Use the write method belonging to the file output stream. Write the buffer onto that. Okay, well, file output stream write is going to have the effect of writing on FOS, which is a file output stream connected to the destination file. I mean, all that sounds a bit complicated, but logically it's fine. So what in effect I'm doing, these two lines, is you read the file as much as you can until there's nothing left to read, and then immediately write it to the new file. Write it to the file in this directory Burke, and the file is called hotpot1.txt. So what I can do is to run the file. Do I need to say anything more here? Let me just take a look. I've got a class definition here called copy. So copy is a public class. It's got a main method, and we've seen static and public before. What I'm doing is to attach what I'm actually defining is source to be a file at this destination, and this DEST is going to be a file at this particular location, I should have said. Okay, so I'm going to try and create two appropriate streams, and I'm going to attach them to the two files here. And I'm defining buffer to be an array of bytes, 1024 bytes. I've got an integer variable called length, and I'm going to use length in this while loop. So length is going to repeatedly read a buffer full of bytes from the file input stream, and immediately place that buffer array of bytes into the file using the file output stream, this method called write. So I'm just writing an array of bytes. Okay, so I'm going to now run this file, and I think I'll probably have to save it first of all. It's typically the practice. So you saw a slight flicker whilst the file was in action. And now if I actually gain a command prompt, I can go up to the top level. So I'm at the top of the C drive, and I can then move down into the subdirectory Burke, and let's see what I've got in there. Well, hotpot1 is certainly there, and it's quite a big file, like 3.5 million bytes. And I'm going to type that out. I mean, what I'm claiming is that this file has just been created. I mean, let me delete that file to demonstrate what I'm saying is true. So I'm going to delete hotpot1 hotpot1.txt. Sorry, that should be just a del. Let me try that again. So I'm using an application of locality theory here to just to get the original command back. Oh, that's so I'm sorry. This is should be just del. So it's gone. So just check that it's actually disappeared. No hotpot1, and in fact I'd quite like to delete delete hotpot.txt as well. So let's check that. That's gone as well. I might as well. I should have got rid of all the junk in here, but anyway. So I'm going to return to. I haven't deleted it completely. I'm going to return to the program, and it was this session here. So I haven't shown you Gutenberg.txt, and I'll say a few words about that at the moment. So I'm going to create this file, hotpot1.txt. I'm going to copy this file into this file. Let me do that. Let me show you. So I'm going to run that. Sort of slight flicker of activity here, and I'm going to go back to get another command line, and I'm going to go up again, go down into the subdirectory work, see what's actually there. Well, okay, hotpot1.txt has been created. But what I can do now is just to type it out. Let's see what's in there. So type hotpot1.txt, and this is what you get. It's a book, and it was in fact created very, very, very quickly indeed. And you can go back up by just moving this scroll feature here, and if you read a couple of sentences, it's quite obviously something to do with history, because you've got the date 1182 and various mentions of kings and so on. And in fact it's the history of the Norman conquest in 1066, and it's quite interesting because 1066 Britain was invaded by the Normans and was completely vanquished. We were under the control of the Normans for a very long time, and the Normans actually made a major impact on English society and English civilization, and in some ways we were slaves. Anyway, so I hope by what I've shown you so far is what might appear to be quite a complicated demonstration in Eclipse, because I've done what I showed you what to do last week. You can create projects and new classes. Here I've created a copy class and just pasted in what I wanted, and I've given you an explanation of that program and how it actually succeeds in copying another program by opening a file, reading it chunks at a time, an arrays of bytes at a time, and copies or transfers that array of bytes to the file to be copied into. So hopefully it gives you a little bit of something to think about, not least of the fact that the book that you will have access to, or even though it's in a notepad text file, it's actually a very, very, very interesting piece of history if you care to spend a few hours just reading it. Anyway, I'll close down now. Thank you for your attention.